Hello, GPL people. It is me, Juke in the Box, Orberg's division owner. I am going to be making this video to just briefly explain what every custom mega does. And I'm just going to go alphabetically with this. So, let's see. We'll start with Avalugg. Avalugg's a really good mega. Avalugg gets ground typing, which is a big deal for it. Ground types are obviously really good in the meta. It has a really good defense, not a great defense typing, but it utilizes it offensively, and it has really good defensive stats specifically. This 66 special defense coupled with this, even though the def is kind of low, if you just max invest into this most of the time, it will still reach a good enough level to where you don't really need to worry about it. Like hitting 250 in general is a good mark to have, and you can see this is already stupid high. And if you invest in this, you're gonna hit 394. You'd actually probably want to go 348. I'm not gonna try and do that. So you take, less switch-in damage. But yeah. So it has refrigerate. This is extremely useful for rapid spin specifically. With return legal, also that's a more powerful stab, but rapid spin has a lot of utility that this brings for it. You'll see that if you ever use it. Curse is also a very good set on this mon, as is Iron Defense. Body Press is incredibly viable. Yeah. Unfortunately, Hydro Pump, very unusable. Aurora Veil, I could see maybe niche having use. It's mainly just Avalugg is now good, has stab EQs, and has access to a really strong Rapid, and I think it's like a base 72 base power. So yeah, let's see, Mega Beartic. This one's interesting. Another Ice type Mega. Weather Rush, its custom ability, is imagine Swift Swim plus Slush Rush plus I'm forgetting Sand Rush. There we go. It's all three of those. It's basically you get double speed in any weather condition that isn't sand. Now, and it also gets Fighting type is what its base typing gives it. So this is really good for this mon. Unfortunately, Game Freak cucked this Pokemon, and it does not get close combat. It only has superpower for a very strong fighting stab, which is the main thing I think that keeps this mon back. It is still a good mega, though, I would say, simply because it fits on a lot of team archetypes, especially, I think, Sand. It gives a very good niche to that Sand just doesn't have on its teams normally, which is ice and fighting damage. So it's a good niche mon to use as your mega. Let's see. Bellossom. This mon is deceptive in how good it is. It has really good across the board stats, but nothing that stands out particularly. Conflagrate is just fire type Pixelate. And you would actually look and almost probably miss how it even uses that on a special side with its admittedly worse special attacks other than physical attack. The answer is Nature Power. This will always, unless you have terrain up, be normal, which will then become fire. Because of its ability. This is very strong. I think it's like a base 90 power before Pixelate, well, Conflagrate. So, yeah, it's strong. Couple that with the fact that it gets Strength Sap, which does it 1v1 a lot of mons it shouldn't. Quiver Dance, which lets it set up. As well as Swords Dance physically. Access to Moonblast on the special side. Play Rough on the physical side. Drain Punch physically. It can even run Curse, which is not bad on it. It has Synthesis. It has poison moves. It just gets a lot. Not a ton, but enough to make it very good. Especially in certain matchups where it really goes off. Let's see. Next one. Boltund. Boltund is a mon totally carried by the fact that it has an electric and ice stab, which Bolt Beam, I don't think I need to explain too well. Decent speed tier, actually slower than base Boltund as it had to be. Really good mix attacker. This mon's very difficult to check. It doesn't have a giant depth of moves, but it makes up for that in the fact that it just has so many useful traits that it brings to your team that I don't think need a ton of explanation. I think if you understand better Pokemon, you'll understand why this mon is good. Let's see. Next one is Bronzong. Bronzong is admittedly very niche. It's okay, I guess, as a bulky steel. That's not really utilizing its power, though, in Persistent, which is a 7-turn Trick Room. Which is really strong, obviously. The problem is, of course, Trick Room is a playstyle you often have to lean into in team building quite a bit, and when you draft, and it's very easy to play against for most teams that are made competently, which unfortunately makes this mon very niche. It does have uses, And it's still not a bad Pokemon, but it's a mon that you probably, unless you really want to lean in the Trick Room, you don't really want to pick up usually. It can be good though, and I think it has a lot of potential to be used. Butterfree, this one is a standard top 5 Mega, no bones about it. Tinted Lens basically means regular 2 times resists aren't resist, they're neutral. Then couple that with this, and the fact that it gets Quiver Dance, and this mon is a menace. Conveniently, not conveniently, but I guess it is kind of convenient, we never banned this in conjunction with Lele, or Psychic Surge in general. So you wanted, if you draft this, you should try and draft it with a Lele, because it makes its Psychic moves murder Steel types. And yeah, it has Hurricane, it has Energy Ball, it has Psychic, it has Shovel, it actually has really good coverage. It has Teleport, which you will literally never use. U-Turn is actually useful on this, lets you switch out. It has what it needs to have, to be a very, very strong Pokemon that is very hard to answer. So yeah, that one doesn't need much introduction. Copperajah. This one's a new one. It's interesting. So it's the only other Steel Fire in the game besides Heatran, which already gives us a niche because that's an amazing defensive typing. If you ever look at how many resists this dual typing has, it's insane. Now it does lose the fire immunity that Heatran has in exchange for a water immunity in Dry Skin, which will also kill it if it gets hit. However, you must also keep in mind that Dry Skin is actually weak to fire. I don't actually remember how weak it is. I don't think it's a normal weakness, but you have to remember that it will actually take decent amount from fire moves. This mon has a couple issues with it, but it's still very strong, has very high attack stat, really solid defenses across the board. But it is held back by the fact that its best fire stab is Heat Crash, which is not always going to work out depending on how heavy the opponent is. Can vastly decrease how useful this mon is in a certain situation. Heavy Slam has the same issue, although there's other steel moves you can select from, unlike in this case where it does not have a good fire move to really utilize outside Heat Crash, if at all actually. Yeah, at all is the better word there. So yeah, this mon's good. Steel types are always good. Fire types are great offensively, especially for checking grasses, which are a menace. But you know, it's not the second coming of Jesus Christ, is what I'm getting at. It has its weaknesses. Crobat, this was the Mega design by Moran Varan, who was the Season 9 champion, after he tried to push an insane Mega Weavile through, which thankfully does not exist. This Momentum ability, it basically means it can never lose speed from anything. Sticky Webs, I mean, it would be immune to anyways, but if Gravity was up, it would not take Sticky Webs. It will not be lowered by T-Wave if you paralyze it. It will not actually have its speed lowered. It will still be able to get full parried, but its speed will never be lowered. Its main use on this, besides just not being able to get crippled, is Curse, where you can basically just boost. It's like a bulk up with no drawback. It still has a usable special attack stat, which is great for this mon. It has a good attack stat. It's good. It's not the greatest thing in the world, obviously. It's not a tier 1 Mega by any stretch of the imagination, at least not tier 1A. But it has good access to setup. It can do stuff. It's a good Mega. Let's see. Mega Crustle. This one's interesting. So Crustles has one gimmick and one gimmick only. That being its ability Vigor Charge, which it makes it so moves with a recharge no longer have that. That basically just means Rock Wrecker, which if you've never seen used, it's just Hyper Beam for rock types. That's physical. So I guess Giga Impact for rock types. That will mean you can just spam this. It does only have APP, so do watch out for that. This mon needs you to pair with Steel types, or things, not Steel types, things that break Steel types. Because it can't. Not easily. EQ to most Steel types will not do a lot. It does rely on Shell Smash for being able to sweep. It has really good, though, like coverage across the board. Poison Jab for fairies, Knock for just being knockoff is great. X-Scissor as a bug stab isn't great, because I mean, how many 80 base power moves do you know that don't have an additional effect, because it's really just X-Scissor? But hey, it has a high enough power to make use of it. So it is a good mon. This is like a 1B, 2A type Mega that needs some support, but can put in a ton of work if you use it right. Decidueye, this is a controversial mega because some people think it's ass, some people think it's great. I'm more in the middle. I think it is a good mega. It's not top 5, I don't think, by any stretch of the imagination. Probably not top 10 either. But it is good. This Starstruck will deal, I believe, 1/8 to Dark types, and I do believe it also procs on switching. So basically, it allows it to chip Dark types that would otherwise answer it quite well. Has a really nice design too. I really do love its design. Has really nice stats in basically everything. No bad stats. It's pretty good defensively. Has Defog, has Curse, which actually is terrible for this. It's a ghost type, I'm stupid. Gets Knock, though. Gets everything Decidueye obviously gets, which is not an irrelevant monster. You should know kind of what this thing can do, just knowing its ability and its stats. So I don't think I need to get into that too much. Let's see. Drifblim is a new mega. It was obtained by choice of Professor Chipboard of, GPL fame for a long time. An old school guy if you've been around the block here. Also an amazing player. He requested this. Hindenburg, obvious reference to, I hope what what that is. But, the blimp that blew up. It gets Flare Boost basically that it sets for itself. So it will set itself on fire upon Mega-ing. That's essentially a free choice specs, you can think of it like. So imagine this Mon with these sets holding choice specs. What holds this Mon back? One thing basically and one thing only. And it's the fact that its best special move for Flying Stab is Air Cutter. So, yeah, that ain't great. But it's still a ghost type. It still has Strength Sap. It has a pretty good move pool outside of being totally cucked and flying moves for some reason. But yeah. It's not a bad mon. If you look at it, you'll see kind of what it does. It's pretty straightforward, I would imagine. Kind of just clicks buttons. Let's see. Druddigon. This is an interesting one. I used this one Season 9. Made it quite far. Losing to Chip, who made it to Finals. Very strong. Insane defenses. Very slow. This is the kind of mon which you could build Trick Room around. Although I would personally just recommend you have like a Porygon 2 that at the end of the game just clicks Trick Room, Teleport, and just lets this thing kill a bunch of mons. Because it has the stats to do that. You can kind of think of it as filling a similar role to a Melmetal, but with better coverage. As you can see here, this mon's Druddigon just has amazing coverage in general. It's underutilized because it's just not very fast in a meta that, well, in a game really, that requires speed most of the time to be relevant, but it can get the job done with basically being able to break most things that check it, having Gunk Shot for fairies, EQ for steals with an attack set to very much back it up. It has a lot of great options, and this is a very underutilized mega. Couple out with Defiant, Defog isn't as prevalent, but if you are defogging against this up someone that has this, you need to be careful. It invalidates Sticky Webs as a team archetype entirely. If Boots didn't already do that. And Intimidate, which is already pretty bad this gen, just got worse in this meta because of this mon. So don't bring in like a Lando to this game if they have a Druddigon, unless you want to change his ability. So yeah. Let's see. Flygon X is the far inferior Flygon Y. It has a decent attack stat. This mon will always suffer from having a hard time competing with a base form with an item. However, it's still pretty good. The increase in speed is very notable for it because it allows it to, after Dragon Dance, outspeed things that base Flygon just doesn't, which will always be the case for any increase in speed. Also, a much nicer special attack, I believe. I'd actually have to look at what regular Flygon special attack is. I don't know off the top of my head. 80. Okay, yeah. You might think that these are minor changes here, and they are, mathematically. But in reality, that does make mean a lot for what you can outspeed it as a D-Dance mon, which is really what this mon does. It's still pretty mediocre as a Mega. Having that extra attack is very meaningful for it, though, and is the big boost, plus the defenses, which means it will live hits, because it actually has a decent HP pool. I'm just going to immediately click over to this one as well, delete that. Flygon Y, this is kind of what people always thought Flygon, I feel like, should be. And it's a Bug Dragon. Infectate, if it's just an 8 ability for Bug type, so its Boom Burst basically is the big one here, is going to be doing a lot of damage. Hi, Frosty. Yeah, this will do a lot. Unfortunately, Bug is a very answerable type, which is the main thing that holds this mon back, which means it has to rely on Dragon type a lot, which means, of course, has a hard time into Fairies. This mon struggles a lot versus Fairies, which is its main downfall, with not really a way to answer them. So if you're picking this mon up, you really need a way to check Fairies pretty hard for it to do a lot, but if you do find a way to get it in a position to where it can do shit, it's gonna do shit. It's kind of like the thing with this mon. Let's see, Mega, who's next? Froslass. This is an interesting mon. So, it has Snow Warning, so it has Blizzard Spam. That also means it has Aurora Veil Spam. So, it's kind of a weird supporty version of itself, more so than the original one is, although it does still have regular one, does use a lot of support moves, but not to the degree that this will. So Aurora Veil especially is probably one of the best support moves in the game. There's discussions about boosting its attack stat now that it has usable things on that side, which it did not in the past. That will remain to be seen if that ever happens. But there's just Froslass with better stats, and Aurora Veil is what you want to think about it as. Some people swear by this thing, some people think it's mediocre. It's pretty good. It's a solid tier 2 Mega, I would say. Let's see. Who is next on this list? Is it a really good one? It's the new Golisopod. Okay, so opportunistic, this is going to boost priority moves. That means Aqua Jet is getting boosted, that means First Impression is getting boosted. That's going to hit very hard. So you want answers to that. This mon I don't think will be the greatest thing in the world. It will be strong, probably about 1B, where it should probably get placed. But don't let that, make it feel like it's not going to do a ton in a matchup. Because it has really solid defenses, which make killing it difficult. And while its speed isn't great, the fact that it abuses priority so well, especially after switching with Aqua Jet, means that with bulk up variants and the actually great move pool this mon gets, it can be a pretty big problem for teams. This is the kind of mon that I think you should be looking at if you're looking at a custom Mega. It's in the right place to be looked at. It has a lot of the tools to be very flexible in a draft league. It will do a lot. Also, does Sucker Punch get boosted? Man, okay, that's actually really good. Okay, anyways. Moving on, because there's a lot left still. Golurk. Poor Golurk. I've tried getting this mon buffed. It is yet to be buffed. It can break, so if you're asking why you should draft this over regular Golurk, well, the answer is supposed to be its ability, which makes 2-turn moves 1 turn. Unfortunately, then they made Poltergeist, which kind of invalidated Phantom Force's whole gimmick here. And you weren't really using Dig anyways, unless you were going against Grassy Terrain, because I assume Dig is not nerfed by that, although could be wrong. I've never checked the Dig rules for Grassy Terrain. But the other thing it gets is Fly, which does let it break Monster like Moongus that Golurk cannot, which is useful for it, don't get me wrong, but it's still kind of in a weird spot right now. If you really like Golurk, though, then pick it up. It's not a bad mon. It probably makes better use of it in the format we have right now with the dual Mega, where you can have up to 2 Megas. And if you bring both, they both have to hold the item. Specifically, I meant the Mega Stone. And this mon can use that because regular Golurk isn't bad. And yeah, it works well paired with like maybe a tier 1 or tier 2 that it covers the weaknesses of. So yeah. Goodra. This is a mon that people go back and forth on if it's bad or if it's kind of just passive and dog. I'm of the opinion that... sorry, not this bad. If it's bad and passive and dog or good. I'm of the opinion this is good. I think it could have a better ability. Gooey ain't bad. Absurd defense stats overall. Very good attacking stats. Hard for some teams to answer. A lot easier for others. It's very matchup heavy, I think, personally. But not being able to miss Toxic and being a really annoying Toxic-y stall mon is helpful for this mon a lot. Gets really high damage. Has a immense move pool. If you know Goodra, it's that, but more annoying. And it's a Dragon type, which makes it really useful, and it kills fairies. So that's also really useful in the meta. I think this mon goes underutilized. And I don't think I need to explain Gooey, because that's the base ability. Mega Incineroar. This mon is really good. Super underutilized in terms of last season. Has amazing stats across the board. 90 speed might not feel like a lot, but that outspeeds a lot of viable Pokemon. Couple that with its ability to parting shot all over the place and U-turn if that's what you so choose. It can be very annoying. Heal Tactics gives it is just fighting type Steel Worker, so it gets triple stab. That means its CCs are hitting you like a truck, and they do. This thing does a lot of damage. It breaks a lot of common archetypes in the meta. It does really well into things like Ferropax, into Tangrowth, into Amoonguss. The Regenerator cores do not like this mob, basically. He beats the Unicluses of the world. It is a very dangerous mon. So yeah, it actually is a great Dark type, Psychic type answer. One of the best, I think, offensively in the GPL meta. This mon should be on your radar. This mon is very strong. Let's see. Also, Pre-Mega Intimidate's amazing. I didn't mention that, but I should mention it because it's also useful for this mon. Mega Krookodile. Krookodile is a weird mon that doesn't look that great on the surface. Frisk, I think, is an underutilized ability, an undervalued ability. I think it's actually quite strong. Especially in draft, at least in Draft League, it's quite strong. Surely it could be better if it just had like Intimidate, maybe. But I do like what it does for your team and confirming things that are very helpful for just in general. It's a solid tier 2 Mega. Ground and Dark, Krookodile being an amazing mon. Of course, benefiting from the fact that, like I said before, double Mega meta means that regular Krookodile without an item, well, not great, is still a decent mon to have on your team. Has good stats all around. This mon got a lot of buffs in terms of move pool. It got on Gen 8, Close Combat, Scale Shot come to mind. It hits hard. And it has a really good offensive dual typing. So yeah, you kind of know what you're getting with this mon, I would think. Mega, let's see, okay. One of the big meta picks that is also a bit controversial, for multiple reasons, including it not being nerfed, it actually kind of not being as crazy as people think it is, or still, by many people's standards, being amazing. This mon is really, really good, but I'd say artificially so, because it works amazing on the archetype you want to have around it, which is going to be a Rain team. Specifically, probably one that benefits from stuff like Dracovish and Regieleki that really abuse this in conjunction with each other. Lanturn is classic roll compression, because Thunderstorm, I guess you probably don't know, is setting rain, so drizzle, plus electric surge, so setting electric terrain. Now, the main drawback of this roll compression is that neither can either hold a terrain extender or a damp rock, but it does allow for flexibility, essentially flexibility in the mons you draft, because you're not relying on a Coco or a Pincurchin to set that terrain. And yeah, I think it's just a better mon than those mons. And combined, it has really good offensive capabilities, despite only the 96 special attack. In Rain and Electric Terrain, its stabs are hitting hard, objectively. It has really good defensive stats. It's just really good. Rising Voltage is going to hit a lot of things hard, although obviously not flying types, because that's how that works. Getting momentum with Volt Switch is really good. Curse sets can be annoying in certain matchups. Heal Bell's always good if you can fit it. It even gets stuff like Charge Beam that you can utilize. It's just good. It's good. And if you want to draft a Rain team, this is how you should do it. So yeah, that is also probably a top 5, top 7 Mega. Another Mega that I think is underutilized and is clearly T1 is Mega Luxray. Mega Luxray, Electric Dark, what we always thought it should be. Having Strong Jaw, it crunches, it Fire Fangs, it Ice Fangs, it Thunder Fangs you real goddamn hard. It hurts a lot. This mon just hits hard, is really all it is. It's Luxray if Luxray had better speed, so 90, and actually could kill you. And yeah, I think that kind of speaks for itself if you know how good, Dark type is in this game at just killing things, then yeah, you should realize, yeah, this mon's broken. So yeah, draft Mega Luxray. It's very good. Miltank. Miltank is a very annoying Pokemon. This is the kind of mon that you probably don't normally, if you're not like a more bulky player, don't consider drafting. I'm gonna tell you now that this is a mon that you might want to consider drafting. It still has Miltank's stupid speed for some reason, a base 100, has really good defenses in 95, 125, 90, really good offense in 110 for a Mon in general, and having Unaware specifically makes this Mon so annoying. If you you can't set up if this Mon's still alive on the other team because you probably don't break it. Couple that with all the stuff it gets, including reliable recovery in what's it called, Milk Drink, the absurd move pool of a normal type, and yeah, this Mon is just really difficult for a lot of teams to deal with. It goes underutilized in just the entire GPL meta, and I think you should consider drafting this Mon. It also is a rocker, so there's that. Let's see. And also, by the way, rocks are very, very viable in this meta, even more so than they normally are, because of the fire types running around, like Incineroar and such. Let's see. Pangoro. This one's a controversial mega. I think this Mon is broken. Some people disagree and say its speed holds it back. I'm here to tell you that it getting, let's see, I mean, normal doesn't really count, but fighting stab. I should say, Dragon Style gives it stab on everything. So when I'm saying all these things are stab, that's why. It also gets Dragon type. It's based on Po from Kung Fu Panda. It's going to get stab Bullet Punch, stab all of these fighting moves, stab all these dark moves, stab this Dragon move, stab EQ, stab Fire Punch, stab Grass Knot, which is actually useful for mons like Swampert, stab Gunk Shot, stab Ice Punch, stab Iron Head, gets Parting Shot momentum, it gets Poison Jab if you're a bitch, Rock Slide and Stone Edge, Shadow Claw, Surf for like, I don't know, Sling 4 times take the water, T-Punch, X-Scissors, and how about you get the point. This Mon has insane coverage. Not a single Mon in this game can reliably switch into it safely and not get to a KO'd. You don't know what's going to click, and if it clicks the right button, it will murk you. It can be forced out by its lesser speed, mainly by fairy types that destroy it. However, they're not counters. This Mon doesn't have a counter. You can't switch into this because it can click a Poison Jab on the very obvious Comfey that wants to come in, and it will kill it. And hey, maybe you're running that Poison Berry I don't remember the name of. Well, maybe it clicked Iron Head. And unless you're running that Babiri Berry, then, you know, you're dead. Because this thing will kill you. Also, Comfey is not a perfect answer either because you don't have the speed invest that you would need to outspeed it. It will Bullet Punch you. So there's that. This Mon is very, very strong. This should be on literally everybody's radar. And if, like, it's one of the picks that gets to you, you should be taking it. Unless you're in my division, don't, because I want Eric to not drop. Let's see. Primarina. This is an undervalued mega, I would say. Crescendo is Metronome, the item, not the move, the item, which increases the damage of its moves used consecutively. You might think that doesn't sound that good, and this Mon would be the type of Mon that suffers from not being able to hold an item syndrome. I vehemently disagree. I think Primarina's one of its best traits is its bulk as an offensive water and fairy type that most other offensive waters don't possess. Couple that with the fact that this Mon does not ever have to worry about getting the right damage roll. That is a big thing for it. You never rely on the rolls because this Mon will increase its damage every single time it uses that move over and over. So it's going to be clicking Surfs and Hydros over and over, and it's going to be increasing their damage every single time. This also, if you just forget about it, which is honestly a viable win con sometimes, because people will forget this at some point in your season, probably, if you pick it. Sorry, I failed to breathe for a second there. Anyways, what I was saying was, this Mon is people will forget what its ability does, probably at some point to you, and you will probably kill them for it. This Mon does a lot of damage, has really good bulk, has better speed than regular Primarina, I do believe. I think it's like a base 60 normally. Yeah, it is. Which is really good for it. It's just solid Mon. And it's Primarina, which is already great Mon. So yeah, you should consider that one. Now I have to start scrolling down. Jesus, there's still so many more. Okay, Rapidash. Rapidash has now seen a nerf to its defenses. However, it has also seen a buff in us re-allowing a move on it. Swords Dance. This Mon with Swords Dance will break through teams. It does suffer from, if it's running both Flare Blitz and Double Edge on literally killing itself, but that doesn't really stop this mon from at least taking 2 or 3 down with it if it's played right. This is a mon that is very dangerous, has been at times considered to be the single best mega in the GPL. I don't think it really holds that title anymore. I don't think it really ever did, in my opinion, but it has been considered to be that. This is a really strong mon. A top-tier pick. With Swords Dance unbanned, it will be breaking through teams. It's one of its best sets does involve Morning Sun, and that has been nerfed with the defense nerf, which is the readjustment that we're looking at here. But it still has good bulk regardless. Not as great as it was, but still really good. And this is a mon that should be going first round, probably. If it doesn't, that's surprising. And if you don't know what it does, it's just going to have Pixelate. So it's going to be clicking return, and it's going to be killing you. Roserade. This is a really fun mon, paired especially well with Toxapex. Merciless is Toxapex's signature ability it never uses, and that makes it so poison. If your opponent is poisoned, you will always crit them on your attacks. That lets this thing break what it normally would not. With these stats, it is going to do that pretty easily if you can get T-Spikes up. Now, grounded poisons are really good in Gen 8, and that is this mon's big weakness, with things like Gengar on usually getting drafted, things like Pex getting drafted, Nidoking, and Nidoking especially getting drafted. This mon struggles against those. It has a lot of niche options, like Weather Ball is a big one, I think. It can work really well on sand teams, actually, as well, I believe. Because of that, we're getting the ability to hit with Rock at base 100 is really good. This mon needs the right pieces to work correctly, but I think it's one of the most underexplored megas compared to its potential. And I think you could drive the meta quite easily with this mon if it was in capable hands. Also, you can see, obviously, on your screen, these stats are really solid. Let's see, who is next? Sudowoodo. Okay, Sudowoodo is an interesting mon. On the surface, this looks not very great, and you'd be right, it's about tier 3 mega, but it has a lot of potential. Base 70 speed with Rock Polish means it's outspeeding a lot, right? Because if I do this, let's see, 252, whoops, that's a 1, plus, is this, you can see, 262, if that's times 2, this is going to be hitting over 500 speed. From a Rock Polish. Meaning you probably don't even need to be Jolly. You can just be like Adamant. Yeah, and you're going to be outspeeding a Pult with that speed. So this is actually, I had a really big buff in getting that extra speed it got this during the patch, I guess, this most recent season. The changes it got. It is going to hit really hard. If you've ever used a Sudowoodo before and hoped you had Stab Woodhammer, well now you do. Stab Woodhammer plus Head Smash is going to break through teams if they're not playing around this mon well. Don't be fooled by it. It is very strong. It just doesn't have the same level of consistency a better mega has, but it has all the potential to destroy teams. So you should consider it, especially if you're doing, once again, a double mega strategy. It's very good on those. Let's see who is next. I keep saying that. Vespiquen. Vespiquen is still, even after the changes, a very weak mega, I would say. It doesn't really have the offensive capabilities that you would want out of Mega. Being only base 100, it's a usable attacking stat. Having 132 and 137, defense is nice, paired with 70 HP, but it is weak to rocks, which is not great for it. Doesn't have the greatest speed tier in the world. This is free leftovers, so it does get the whole lefty still with better stats, which means it is objectively better Vespiquen, I guess. Although, saying that, in a Boots meta, it would be running Boots, and it can't run that, so take that as you will. This is a mon that can be a little bit matchup fishy. It can do things in certain matchups, but I still think this is one of the worst megas in the league, and in the meta in general, and I'm not sure if you should really consider it. Although we should probably steal its Air Slash and give it to Mega Drifblim, a mon that deserves it way better. Draft it if you want, though. I mean, no one's stopping you. Mega Weezing. Second to last mega on the list. Wait, there's no way. No, there's ones we missed, right? Did I miss some? Hold on. Oh, does it reorder them a bit? Yeah, it does. Oh, goddamn. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back through and do a couple more then after this. Okay, Weezing. So, Weezing is an interesting mon as a Mega. So, it used to be thought of as being really bad. It's not really bad. It's actually really good. It was on the winning team's team last season, Baby Eric's team, as a secondary Mega, and he really showed why that secondary Mega style is actually good for a mon like Weezing especially. This is another very matchup fishy mon, where in certain matchups it can do a lot for mons that don't answer it well, being a Poison Fire with Levitate. In other cases, it doesn't do a lot, and you can't really rely on it to be your sole Mega, but when you're using it as a second mon, like second Mega on your team that you could use in a matchup where it's favorable, this mon can be very oppressive. And this is like the poster child of Tier 3 Megas being drafted alongside a Tier 1 Mega. And I'm assuming you know what Weezing does. It's a pretty good mon. It gets really good coverage. It just doesn't have normally the greatest offensive stats, which it remedies here. So yeah, you should really consider this mon. Mega, let's see. So the last one that's listed here is Wigglytuff, although there's way more that were considered illegal in the format I chose, which is why this is a problem. So this is a Regenerator mon. It's a Regenerator mon that's immune to Ghost and Dragon, which is very useful for it. It's by no means broken. I'm sorry, Egg. It's not a top 5 Mega or a top 1 Mega or whatever the fuck you've been saying it is. It's certainly not that. It's like a Tier 2B Mega. It is good. It's certainly good. It suffers from not having a setup move outside of workup, but still having an amazing move flow outside of setup. This mon can do a lot for your team. It's a Regenerator mon and a Regenerator meta, so I mean, like, take that for what it basically is, right? It's a rocker too, if you didn't know. It does a lot of things, and yeah, you should maybe draft this mon. This is a really good fairy. And now I have to start going through the Megas that I missed because it ordered it weird. And I think the first one of that is no, it's Meganium. Okay. Meganium is, well, not very good, unfortunately. It also relies on nature power to be its stab, like Bellossom does, except for this, it needs it because it needs to make it a fairy type, and having Misty Surge plus nature power does give it a fairy type move, and that is the only move it gets its fairy type. Because this mon does not get Moonblast, because Game Freak hates it. I'll be honest with you, Chiefs, this is not a great mon. You can draft it, and it has its niche of being like an annoying Leech Seed mon, with Misty Surge for certain teams that really benefit from that. The stop status. It's a good cleric. Has Dragon Tail for phasing. Has counter, which is always nice. It has stuff. It's not that it's bad. It's not good. It's not unusable or anything. I just think that it is a very unfortunate that we do not give moves out, which means if Game Freak isn't, we're not, and that kind of leaves this mon in a bad place. So yeah. Mega, who have we missed as well? Arbok. This one's a really good Mega. Arbok gets Corrosion. That means it can poison a Steel type, or a Poison type, and that is huge. Arbok has one of the best defensive typings in the game in Poison Dark, only being weak to ground. Having really good stats all around, with access to setup and coil, means this mon can do a lot. If you're thinking this mon doesn't do a lot, you're underestimating it. It does a lot. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say about it other than, it has good options. It can go weird stuff with a stockpile. It gets enough usable coverage moves to really kind of put a dent in a lot of teams. Not all of them are of the highest power, like, the Elemental Fangs, but it is good, and it has a lot of ways to break past things that you would think check it, like, say, a Swampert, which it can Seed Bomb very unrelenting. Relentlessly is what I was looking for, by the way. So yeah, this is a good mon. This is solidly Tier 1. Probably, I would say some people might say 1B. If it's 1B, it's a steal. That's what I'll tell you. So yeah, after Arbok, who is next? Oh, it's my baby. See, I love this Pokemon. I made this Pokemon. Me and the Goat S, if you know them as Super Bad Cat, that's also fine. This is a really, really, really cool mon. So, this mon took 50 of its 100 stat increase and dumped it into speed because this mon has an unviable speed tier. However, it gets something really, really cool that I think is so fun. And that's Fly Trap, which is a Volt Absorb, so it heals 25% of the damage of the type it absorbs, and that type is Bug. So this is a U-turn blocker. And yes, that does stop them from switching. It also resists Volt Switch and Flip Turn, making it a very interesting niche 3A, 3B Mega. It is just so cool. It gets Swords Dance, which is why its attack isn't any really higher. It was better to put into defenses. And then Sleep Powder gives it a lot of, gives it a good, utility on teams. Knockoff is like the best utility move in the game, and now it's Stab. So that's really good. Leech Seed, Stun Spore, it's a good mon. It doesn't have the deepest move pool, but it can make use of what it has really effectively. Also gets Defog, so take that as you will. Also, before it Megas as Levitate, so it's a great ground switch in pre-Mega, and then once it Megas, it's still tanking EQs because it is a Grass type. It is cool. It's a really cool mon. I was really happy with its design. I'm not going to get into that here because that's not really the point of this, but yes, I really love that Pokemon. Let's see, Mega, who's next? Delcatty. This is another, like, bottom 3 Mega. Unfortunately, no matter how hard you try, you can't take a mon as bad as Delcatty and make it super viable. It has its place. It has an amazing typing. Normal Ghost is a typing that's only used on it and nothing else in the game has it. It's a great typing. Having, like, 3 immunities, right? Ghost, Fighting, and then Ghost again. Ghost, Fighting, and... God, I'm so stupid. Normal, duh. It's right in front of me. Whatever. It's good for what it does, but unfortunately it doesn't do those things well enough to usually justify a Mega slot. It's not terrible and once again, the double Mega meta. However, having a middling speed tier and Wish as its recovery option, which isn't terrible, but with like not a great base HP, isn't passing those to other mons very well. It's just in a weird spot. Especially because we had to make its attack stat literally 5 to give it meaningful stats anywhere else. It's a testament to how bad this mod normally is. If you really love Delcatty, the design is super cool. Draft it if you really want to use it. Terrify is Intimidate on special side. It has its uses. I think it's decent as a second Mega pickup. Certainly don't build a team around it, though, I would say. Won't work out for you, probably. Who's next? Let's see. Empoleon. Empoleon's really cool. This was actually the main Mega on Baby Eric's Season 11 Championship team. It has Thick Fat, meaning it... What, is that like a... It's a 4... No, that's an 8 times Ice Resist, isn't it? Yes, it is. This is the best Ice Switch in the game. Yeah, it is. Plus, it takes 2 times Resist from Fire. It's just really cool. It has really good across-the-board stats that it can utilize really well with having a Water Steel typing, with this moveset, which Empoleon, you should know, already kind of does. It's a good mon anyways. It does a lot for its team. This is going to be an underutilized Mega for sure. I am going to wager that probably not many teams pick this mon up, but they should. It is really good, especially for the price it's going to be at. Consider this mon. Who is next? It is right here. It's Feraligatr right now, right below it. So Feraligatr is a weird Mega. You probably expected it to be a Dark type. I expected it when I first heard about Mega Feraligatr to be a Dark type. It's not. It is a Water Ice type, which does mean its best Ice Stab is Ice Punch. But with Sheer Force boost that isn't bad. It has a really good move pool for Sheer Force, as you should already know from regular Feraligatr. Access to D-Dance makes it a threat. This mon is underutilized as hell. This mon is way better than you would think it is. If you've ever been swept like a Feraligatr like I have, you should know that mon having access to a much heightened stat pool would make it a lot better. It also does get Swords Dance if you don't need the speed that Dragon Dance provides. Make it an even better breaker. It is strong. It's very strong. This is a mon you should definitely consider drafting. I don't even think it got drafted last season, but it is good. Let's see, Giraffreg. This is a mon that is just not too great. You can see its stats here. Nothing super that stands out. Nerve Force boosting its super effective moves will mean Psychic is going to do a lot to anything weak to Psychic. It has a move pool outside of Psychic, but it's not going to hit. It's especially hard with anything other than a Psychic move. And that's unfortunate for it. It gets a mixed move pool, so it can be run physically, which is interesting for it, because it gets Psychic Fangs. But this is still a mon that is going to struggle to kind of stand out and probably even get picked by people, unless you really love Girafarig. I like Girafarig as a base mon, which makes it me a little bit sad that it's hard to make this mon good without kind of just making it good for no reason. It's unfortunate, but this mon does have its perks, as you can see here, with its move pool that it gets from, once again, being a normal type, and normal types are blessed as hell with move pool. So yeah, it can be made use of, but it's in a weird spot. Is it the No, okay, we have a couple more before that. Gramble. This one got a buff this season. It has Intimidate pre-mega and after it megas. Of course, those won't both proc every single time, only the first time. But that's pretty good for it. What's also really good for it is that massive attack stat and Fairy Fighting as its dual stabs, meaning it's not going to ever sweep your team. It shouldn't be able to. You should kill it before it does that. But it should kill like a couple mons before it goes down. Decent defensive stats, 90, 100, 85. Not a great speed, but doesn't really need it for what its role should be on your team, which is just kind of come in and kill some things and die, or just get chip on a bunch of things so other things can sweep. That's its main role on a team, and it does that very well, especially for the tier 3 it's going to probably get placed in. This is probably the secondary poster child for 3A megas you should draft for the tier 1A mega. So yeah, Gramble also has a stupid move pool if you didn't know that. Let's see. I do believe, what's it called is next? Honchkrow, yes. Honchkrow has Stakeout, that is, what's it called? Gumshoe's ability, which basically means that they switch out, the mon coming in is going to get bopped hard. He's a little mobster guy. He's really cool. He has good attack and special attack, which normal one does not have. Doesn't have great speed, which is the thing that mainly holds this mon back. However, it has access to a lot of setup moves. A lot. Has dark typing, has flying immunity from ground. It's a good mon. This is a mon that I also think gets very underutilized. I think it gets a lot of flack for being slower than maybe you would feel like it should be, but it doesn't really end up needing that speed to put in the work that it can very easily put in. This mon has very few switch-ins, outside of the very obvious ones, and for a lot of teams, will actually struggle versus this mon quite a bit. So, yeah. Now we're on to the big guy. The big, probably, in my opinion, the best. Definitively the best. Custom Mega, Infernape. It gets Infiltrator, a Breakthrough Sub. It gets everything Infernape could want. A much better speed tier in 118, almost hitting 120. Both a 134 attack and special attack. That hits like 404, I believe, at max. If I'm not mistaken. Let's see. 252 minus. Yep, 403. Okay. Yeah, it has the massive move pool that Infernape has. I shouldn't need to explain that to you. Swords Dance and Nasty Plot, all the move pool moves it could ever need offensively. Momentum, some weird bulky sets with Will-O-Wisp. It's got really everything. Also an amazing shiny, I'll show you. Yeah, it's cool as hell. This mon's fucking great. Okay. That one doesn't need much of an introduction, I believe. The next one is going to be Kecleon. This is my favorite custom mega because I love Kecleon. It's my favorite Pokemon. This guy is just funny. He's a big fat boy. He is unfortunately not very good. I used him on a hard Trick Room team and made playoffs, but he is still struggles. It has, once again, normal type move pool to make really good use of Protean, so it has that going for it. But unfortunately, it struggles in a lot of ways, although I do definitively believe it is not as bad as people think it is. I do think it's a 3A mega, not a 3B mega. I think that it has a lot of uses for teams. I think it is another great poster child for the meta. I've been talking about the double mega meta, and I think people should pick it up more than they do. So yeah, it gets, just look through Kecleon's move pool. It's really good. You should do that for every normal type basically that has a mega here. So yeah, I think that's one of the last megas because. See. Yeah, there's not many more. Most of these are going to be base game megas. Who is the next one? Medicham again. Okay, Mightyena. Okay, this is one of the other really, really good ones. It got a nerf this season. Used to have base 130 speed, now it has 120. Pack Tactics is probably the most broken ability besides maybe Dragon Style that we've made. This is Taunt as like an aura effect field. Basically, while this one is on the field, you can't use any status type move, which is a category move, not literally things that set status. That means no defog if this thing switches in. It will fail. That means you can't set up on this mon. That means you can't really do a lot of things in front of this mon. However, you can kill it, and that is the main weakness that people kind of overlook with it. It has very terrible defenses. 70, 80, 70 are not good at all. What it makes for in that, it just has an offensive pressure. This is not going to be a sweeper mon. It doesn't have a great setup option, but it does have a lot of straight raw damage from good moves that it can just use on you. And that on its own is kind of what places it at a top 3, top 4 mega overall. Although that 10 speed nerf did hit it quite hard. Let's see. Pachirisu, made for Pineapple exclusively. This mon might see a buff maybe next season because it is memeably terrible. It's not the worst, but okay, I'll explain this thing quickly. Its ability is Sharpened Fangs. That means when it uses Super Fang on you, instead of doing 50%, it's going to do 75% of your maximum health. Well, current health, which you should be using something that has full health, so it does 75% total. What does that mean? Well, it's good at breaking walls. The problem is most walls have a recovery move. And so, since it has terrible attacking stats, which you can see, it is not going to really be able to do anything after it does that, and they'll probably pick a recovery move. Maybe this patches up a hole on your team very specifically, but I don't see this mon getting picked unless you're Pineapple and you really want to run it back for like the 3rd time in a row. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not going to probably have the same effect that Sage on Parks did in VGC. I had to say it, I guess. Let's see, there's only a couple left, I think. Primeape is the next one, and actually, is that the last one? No, there's a couple more after that. Okay, Primeape. Primeape's really cool. I think this mon got underutilized. I think it's really hard to build around and to deal with. Determination is a really interesting ability. Basically, if its most recent move failed or got immuned, then its next one does either 1.5 or 2 times damage. I don't remember. Sue me. That basically means it is going to be hitting super hard after a close combat's a ghost type or EQs a levitator or a flying type. That is its main gimmick. But with the move pool it has, which is vast enough to really make use of it, with U-turn, this mon is very, very strong. Has great stats. 115 speed is an amazing speed tier. 140 is a great attack stat to be bopping things with a close combat EQ dual stab. Fighting ground, an amazing just offensive dual typing in general. This is a very threatening mega. I really hope more people draft it this season because this mon is very good. And I think Kara had it last season and had an unfortunate season where she wasn't able to really find her footing. But I think had a couple other pieces aligned better for her. I think this mon could have been in quarterfinals of the league, if not better. This mon is just very, very strong. And I think it's very hard for people, especially experienced players who haven't ever dealt with something like this, to really adapt to, because it plays so differently from anything else in the game. Let's see. I think there's like 3 more. And they're all pretty good. Yeah, next one up is Staraptor. Staraptor has Terrify, the same thing that Mega Delcatty has, which is Intimidate on the special side. So if this mon comes in and it Megas, it's going to lower both of the attacking stats of the opposing Pokemon. And then it's going to get to do some fun stuff. So instead of making this mon way too fast, which if we did it would be broken, we instead gave it its fighting typing it always deserved, made it look super fucking cool, and now it hits even harder. It doesn't hit as hard as obviously a Staraptor would have if it had a Choice Band, and it's not as fast as if it had a Choice Scarf. However, getting to fighting typing makes all that difference. Stab, Close Combat, and Brave Bird runs through teams. U-turn for momentum. Roost if you want it. Heat Wave if you need it. Steel Wing if you need it. That's basically this mon. It has some other things it can do, but that's really all it needs to do. It just breaks holes in the teams. And you might know what it's going to do when it comes, because it doesn't have many sets, but it does them all. It does what it does well enough to where it doesn't really matter. Priority and Quick Attack too. This mon is just very, very strong. A solid tier 2A, 1B type Mega. It's been put to a lot of success in the past, and I assume it will again this season. I believe the next one, I could just type it, but I want to make sure. Yeah, it's Torterra. Torterra is a really, 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 really undervalued mon in Season 9. Got tiered really incorrectly. Two of the top, I think both of the top 2 players, basically, in my opinion, that were playing, being II and Professor Chipboard, drafted it, had amazing success with it on their teams. Chip made finals after beating II in semis, in what is one of the best games in GPL custom Mega meta history. This mon does not die. This mon will take 60 to 70 from an Ice Beam that is Stab. I need to reiterate that. A Stab Ice Beam that it is 4 times weak to is probably just sometimes doing like 70. That's absurd. This is a mon that you think like, oh, four times weak to hidden power. Hidden power is so annoying. This mon will take like 35 from your hidden power. That's coverage. Like your hidden power ice. It does not care. 95 HP, 150 defense, 125 SPDF, 144 attack. It has 56 speed, which means it can run a rock polish set and sweep things, because that speed tier, let's see, if I do 252 plus, and just drop that right here, that's going to be a 464. That's a really high, that's just really high. 427 for reference is max speed on a base 150. So most things in the meta before either being in like a weather thing that doubles their speed, or being an already fast choice scarfer, or being at +1 in general from like D-Dance or something, or it's probably outspeeding all of those. And so it has use as a sweeper. It has use as just being very bulky and very annoying with Leech Seed. It's a rocker. It has basically everything this mon needs. It gets Synthesis for healing, gets Roar for phasing, gets Curse to be really goddamn annoying. This thing just refuses to die. This is a top 6-7 Mega. There's better mons now than there was when it first came out, which kind of drop it from being what I would originally have said is easily a top 5 Mega, but this is still very, very strong. A round 1 or 2 pick easily, even in like a 10-person draft, with the broken shit that will be allowed this season. You should really consider checking this mon out. It is really, really, really good. And then finally, I believe we only have 1 Mega left, and that Mega is Typhlosion, if I'm correct. Yes. Okay, this is the last one. Typhlosion has had a fall from grace, an opinion I think deserved. It's not the greatest thing in the world. It has Reckless to boost its Wild Charge. That's really its best electric option. It has a mixed attack stats, but at the end of the day, you're just clicking Flare Blitz and Wild Charge, and you're praying that your opponent doesn't set up rocks. I'm being a little bit mean. It has more sets than that, but this is a mon that's going to struggle in the fact that it's probably going to get priced at Tier 2B because it's too good for Tier 3, but it's probably hard to justify for a lot of teams to pick as a Tier 2B. Some people swear by it, and it's not a bad mon by any stretch of the imagination. These stats kind of indicate how could it be terrible. It's not. It's good. It's a mon that unless you really, really love, you probably are not picking up. Also, expect a sprite redesign in the coming season. And with that, we're just under an hour, and that is my basic overview of every custom Mega that is out as of Season 12. So yeah, have fun with your drafts and your regular season. This is your resident Orberg division owner, Juke in a Box, signing out.